So this video is about Supervisor Griefer's decision to withdraw from the debate that was scheduled for tomorrow. A debate that had been in the works. I've been trying to schedule it since September 24th, when I decided to take Supervisor Griefer up on his offer to debate him anytime, any place, anywhere on any topic in honor of Charlie Kirk. Um, as a preliminary matter, that invitation was made during a Board of Supervisors meeting in board chambers during board reports. So Supervisor Griefer's decision to limit that invitation to him and his capacity as a private citizen, whatever that means, I don't really understand how that would work, is problematic. But I agreed to that because the conduct that he is engaged in that was the impetus for me accepting that invitation is private. It's stuff that he's done on his Facebook profile that I find very disturbing. And also uh, coordinating a Charlie Kirk vigil with Sean Michael Betzendifer, a man who was forced out of the Tuolumne County Sheriff's Department for posting truly horrific things on the internet. And Supervisor Griefer was collaborating with him on this Charlie Kirk vigil, and I called him out on that. He wiggled and wormed and basically tried to make it sound like it wasn't a big deal. I personally think it's a very big deal when an elected leader chooses to collaborate with somebody who has a very disturbing and documented history of misogyny, racism, homophobia, transphobia. And to my knowledge, Betzendifer has done nothing to redeem himself in this community or to indicate that he's changed his views on women, on Black people, on brown people, on trans people, on gay people. And I'm open to being wrong about that. If anybody wants to bring that to my attention, please let me know, because I always leave room for redemption. But to my knowledge, that has not occurred in this case. So when Steve Griefer, after my persistent efforts over the course of several months to get him to agree to a date, said that he would agree to the January 24th date, which I basically named that date 3 months in advance, so that Supervisor Griefer would be able to arrange his schedule to accommodate that. So back in early December, he finally agreed to that, with the stipulation that he was debating me in his private capacity and not as supervisor. And so after that, I sent him a bunch of emails, several emails about the moderator, about the location, about the topic, which I had already proposed. When was America great? Getting into the nature of greatness, what that looks like in our local community, what that looks like in leadership in our local community. Keeping it a high level to address the specifics of what I found very problematic, but ideally not getting into too much into the details of the he said, she said, but really about what is the nature of greatness and how do we embody that in our actions in our community, particularly in positions of authority. And so, yeah, I shared with him a proposed outline for the debate. I was getting nothing, no response. And so eventually I did message him on Messenger just to confirm that he was still on. He said yes. And fast forward to about a little over a week ago, I had prepared a press release that included identifying Supervisor Griefer in his capacity as District 4 supervisor. I happen to live in District 4, so he actually is my supervisor. And indicated in that press release that he was appearing in his capacity as a private citizen, for readers to decide what that meant. And it turned into an article with a comment or a statement from Supervisor Griefer in the Union Democrat that appeared today. Apparently, Steve Griefer is one of his main reasons for withdrawing from this debate, and there's a laundry list of them. I'll address a few of them, is that this was this misrepresented what he had agreed to because he was identified as a supervisor, despite the fact that it was made clear in the content of the article and in the content of the press release that I sent out that he was appearing as a private citizen. Importantly, Steve Griefer received a copy of that press release over a week ago. So if he was going to take issue with how he was identified, the time to have done that was when he received the press release, not less than 48 hours before the event. So that is highly problematic. And I don't understand how somebody who has chosen to step into the role of an elected leader can think that they can take off that hat and be magically not identified in the community as being a supervisor. So that's just it's just absurd. If anybody saw his name in a headline in the UD just referenced as Steve Griefer is going to be debating Renee Orth, people would be like, that's weird. Why aren't they saying that he's the county supervisor? It's beyond the bounds of rationality. He also took issue with the fact that Access to Tuolumne was going to be videotaping this. In my world, the proper thing to do is to say, hey, I didn't agree to this videotaping. It's a no-go for me. Like, just lay that down. You don't have to cancel. You can just say, if it's going to be videotaped, I'm not going to attend, and we can decide. I didn't think I needed to ask him to videotape because when we had our initial interaction on Facebook, when I accepted his challenge or his invitation to debate him, I suggested a public Zoom. It's just easier. More people can participate. He said that he didn't want to do that because not everybody has access to Zoom, and that he suggested that we rent a hall. And so I'm like, fine, we'll rent a hall. And here we are. We had the Aronos Club, a hall. We still have the Aronos Club, by the way. And so his concern for the accessibility of this event to all of his constituents and all of the citizens, regardless of their technological capacity, I just assumed that he also would want, for example, his constituents in Groveland, who may not want to make the trek to Sonora, to have access to this as well. So if that wasn't accurate, my bad. He claims that he has his legal counsel said that it was risky for him to appear at this event because somebody who, by the way, I have nothing to do with Calaveras 2026 election. They posted a comment in the Facebook event for this, completely legitimate, free speech comment. So he had concerns that Calaveras 2026 election was going to repurpose some of the video. And according to Steve Griefer, his counsel thought that was going to cause some kind of legal problem for Steve Griefer. I don't understand how that could be a legal problem for Steve Griefer. I could see how it could be a problem for the person who manipulated video to make it look like somebody said something that they didn't say. And as a public leader, the Board of Supervisors meeting is recorded by Access to Tuolumne. He's used to being recorded. And the best defense against any kind of libel or slander that could happen is the actual video footage, which Tuolumne Access obviously was going to provide to everybody. So this isn't a situation where some people were going to have access to the video and other people weren't. I would say that in terms of the risk scenario, the bigger risk to Steve Griefer is the risk of deciding to withdraw from a debate that you had agreed to in early December, and that was actually taking you up on your challenge at the September 16th Board of Supervisors meeting, and choosing not to attend. The lack of forthrightness and integrity that reveals is profoundly problematic. And in the meantime, earlier this month, there was a screenshot of a Facebook post from April 2024 that appeared to show Steve Griefer making a very vile and hateful comment suggesting that all trans people should be put in prison because they know how to deal with pedophiles. They're implying that trans people are pedophiles. And then Darren Duez, who is a member of the Republican Party here, or the Republican Committee, said something to the effect of, "Skip jail, I have a rope." Now, Darren does not dispute that he said he would say something like that. He did take umbrage at the attribution of proper grammar. So there's that. My understanding is that Supervisor Griefer has denied having made that post. And so the situation that we have here is highly problematic, regardless of what you think the facts are. That either we have a supervisor who posted hate speech online less than 2 years ago. That is highly inflammatory and I would say is toxic to this community, that I have had trans people in our community reach out to me, specifically asking me to call him out on this, to get to the bottom of it, because it is impacting their sense of safety in this community to have somebody who may have said such a thing in a position of authority in this community. So this is real people suffering real consequences from this outstanding controversy. Alternatively, if there is somebody in our community or outside of our community who is fabricating a Facebook post to make it appear that one of our leaders has posted hate speech on the internet when that did not happen, we need to get to the bottom of that. And we as a community, like, that is actually, my understanding is that could cross the line into criminal activity. It's definitely defamation, that there are subpoena powers, deposition powers that could be put to use to get to the bottom of where that comment came from, and if it was fabricated, to bring whoever fabricated it to justice. And that is important to our community, because if somebody did this to Steve Griefer, they could do it to anyone. And so that is an issue that I think absolutely must be dealt with in our community. We cannot just move on from that and pretend it didn't happen, or just blindly accept Steve Griefer's word that it was fabricated, or blindly accept other people's word that it is authentic. We need to have some fact finding. Maybe it's a proper issue for the grand jury to investigate, but we need to get to the bottom of it. And so that is where we are right now. I will be at the Oronos Club at 5:30 tomorrow, as will many other people. I'm expecting a lot of people heard about this and probably haven't heard that Steve Griefer has declined to attend for what I believe is subterfuge. To be honest with you, I am not surprised that he has backed out. It took 4 months of persistence on my part to get him to agree. He clearly did not want to fulfill his invitation. I guess it was bluster. I don't know, or maybe he doesn't want to debate me because I'm a woman. Maybe he was only expected to be asked to do it by people who share his political affiliations and beliefs. Seems strange to me. But for whatever reason, Supervisor Griefer is declining to attend. So we are pivoting. The exact contours of what the event tomorrow will look like is still being determined, but it will involve still the question of greatness in America, and what that looks like in local leadership in our community, and what tools we can use to bring that the collective wisdom of our community, and what our vision of greatness is, and how we want to embody that in our community, both individually and collectively, to make that real. There are tools at our disposal now that didn't exist 250 years ago when this country was founded, didn't even exist necessarily 5 years ago, but we have tools now, digital pro-social tools. And I'm part of a group of citizens here in Tuolumne County that's been actually looking at bringing some of those here. If you want to go to tuolumnetogether.org, that is the organization that has been spearheading this. It's still in early stages. Just to be clear, I am not debating, well, I wasn't planning on debating Steve Griefer in my capacity as a member of Tuolumne Together, or an organizer of Tuolumne Together, for whatever that's worth. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't want people to feel like they have to choose between being involved in that effort in that organization and being aligned with my comments and my position on these matters. This is all me as a private citizen. So yeah, I hope people will still attend. We are going to keep it meaningful and interesting. There might be some humor involved as well, because yeah, we need some comedy at this point in our what's going on locally, nationally. So yeah, that's where we're at. And yeah, it's a shame that Supervisor Griefer has decided to withdraw. And he said he was going to do this in honor of Charlie Kirk. It makes me wonder what he thought Charlie Kirk stood for, that this is what it looks like to honor him.